Hi, Dr. Berman. Call me Gary. Class, and we're going to be meeting here, of course, tonight from 7:30 to 8:30, and there'll be 3 more classes that we do from this room over the next 3 Thursdays. Now, the purpose of the class is very simple. It's to improve the quality of our life by evaluating our life from the spirit area and allowing spirit to guide us. That's the purpose of the class. So we're going to give you the methods and procedures to do that so we can all be very successful. Now, I know why I'm here, which is that reason, is to guide you and help you in that process, but I also know we have a lot of new people here today, people that weren't in the previous class. So for those of you who weren't here in the last class, would you mind standing, please? Good, good. Shirley, I'm going to start with you. Would you tell everyone your first name and then why are you here?
Yeah, let me share in essence what happened?
No, not yet.
Not yet,
Not
okay.
yet.
Shirley Kinder, I've been on the path since I was 34 years old. I'm very confident and comfortable in my spiritual path. I had a major breakthrough this last weekend when I met him. I'm now 79. I was last Saturday. So I've been on the path 39 years, and because of something that happened there with him, everything's opened up. I felt led to come in closer contact. I've known about him for probably 12 years and knew he was awesome. He is a precious treasure.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And
I'm
thank you.
Kathy, and I just want to be here to enrich my life.
Please also talk to the video camera. I
Yes.
forgot to mention, everybody, when you are talking, please stand up, and we want to get everybody on the video.
Okay, my name's Leticia Queen, but I've been here prior classes, but not the last one. So I just want to reconnect with Spirit again.
Oh, good. Thank you. Please.
Hi, I'm Billy, and I knew eventually it would come in here, and I finally did. It was just, I've been in that realm that the First Lady told me about for a long time. So I just, Sarmita brought me in here, so I said thank you. I've heard of your name before, and I said, yeah, I need to come in. It's time. So here I am, so thank you.
Please.
I saw you Saturday at the Whole Earth Expo. I think that was it in Madison.
Right.
And I attended your workshop, and I was one of the few lucky ones that raised their hand, and you essentially gave a reading. And it was so awesome that I thought, I've got to attend this class.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please.
I'm Susan, and I'm here because Charlene told me about you. We were at the Wellness Expo together, but I didn't get to hear you talk, so I'm here because of her.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And the ladies in the back here.
My name's Adele, and I've heard Dr. Berman lecture several times. I just want to expand my spiritual knowledge.
Thank you.
I'm Yuri, and I've been to the class last year, probably 3 times or so, and I haven't been back, so this is the first time for this year.
Thank you. Well, let's greet the new people here. Thank you for coming tonight. Now, on my way, I'm going to introduce some of the people that are going to be very helpful for guiding you. One of them will be Patrick right here in the front. Patrick, please, why don't you stand? Okay, you probably know him from the expo. He's a very gifted psychic himself. He does a lot of interesting work with the pendulum. He's a very interesting man. You want to get to know him. We have Danny over here in Gomez. He's a health coach. He'll be teaching us breathing methods and techniques. Okay. We have Ruthie over here, and she'll be helping us with essential oils. If you have any questions about essential oils, that's the lady to answer them. The essential oils are very helpful for what we're doing. And then we have Chris back there. Chris is our expert with hypnosis. His lovely wife is working the camera. Together they're really helping us get onto YouTube, but they're guiding us into a very important form of meditation which will change your life. So how about if we give them a hand for Thank you for all of you for being here. I thought a lot about how I would start tonight, but I think the best way of starting is through an example. And Shirley, you're going to be my example. So would you mind if you came up? Okay.
She's already,
Is it stuffy in here, or is it me?
Oh,
she's
yeah.
already getting warm.
Lots of stuff going on with
She's
me
already
right
getting
now.
hot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shirley was in the audience last Saturday when I did the expo, and she was the last reading that I did. I was officially going to stop with 5 minutes to spare to give a summary of what we did, but she was so, well, how about if we say intense, and your spirit said I had to do it. So I took about 2 or 3 minutes to give her a reading of what was going on. She was suffering with vertigo, and it was serious. You could tell by the way she was looking. What other issues were there at the time?
Well, I have some candy, I was expecting, but the reason was the
Yeah.
vertigo. And when I said, the vertigo just had happened 2 days before, didn't have a clue. And so what he said was, it's circulation, so I didn't have a clue what was causing it. Circulation, oxygen. We also gave, let me follow through on that. Then within an hour or so, I felt lead, because my friend here said, you've got to go see this Chinese acupuncturist. Mine retired, so I needed one. He loves lead, chose to give me
Chose.
on-the-spot treatment, thank you God, and in 5 to 10 minutes, he said the same thing without knowing. He said the same thing Dr. Berman said, circulation and oxygen. He felt my skull, he did a treatment on the skull, vertigo gone, hasn't come back. So, and also Dr. Berman said something that she's going to say amen to. I've known her 28 years. She's the one that triggered me into going to the Wellness Expo. I hadn't been for 10 years. I was kind of doing a loner. Now I'm back and engaged. And so at any rate, the other message you said to me, you said, from your father's side. Now I biological father I never knew. Well, that's the one who reared me, so I don't know which one. But biological, okay. And I never knew him. I knew about him, but okay. So the message was, comes from way back, that lineage. You're not enough. I have been gifted for 20 years in several ways. I knew she was going to do that. And she's been saying, Shirley, you are on the positive. So I even got that, I am enough with God through me.
Thank you.
And that's a message you gave me.
Thank you. You get my hug.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give her a hand. I guess the question is, how do we do this? And I don't say, how do I do it? How do we do it? Because all of us are capable of doing this. So what happened here? Well, a long time ago, I realized that we have a choice to make. We have a choice to make about how we're going to live our lives. Are we going to live our lives from the human side? Are we going to let our brain, our logical side, control our life? Are we going to allow our emotions to control our life? This is the human side. And I realized that if I did that I was going to be wrong. I would make bad choices, they would be incorrect, they wouldn't help me, and they wouldn't help the people that I'm trying to help. So in the process of understanding that concept, I had to understand that if I couldn't be in the human side, God didn't put me on this earth to fail. He didn't put a spirit of failure inside of me. This God that I believe in must have given me something that is an owner's manual, if you will, that would guide me and show me what the truth was. I realized what that was, that there was a spot about an inch below the navel, and that I believe at the time of conception, God comes into that area, call it the Holy Spirit, if you will. But from that moment on, from the time of conception on, everything we need to know is given to us. Every moment of every day, that information is given to us. Not just for me, but for you. And we all have that spirit. The question has always been, why did it take me so long to understand that? Well, because my brain and my heart got in the way. That brain and heart will tell me that I'm not good enough. That was my story. Yeah. It's that brain and heart that will try to stop you. It tried to stop me. It'll try to stop you. I realized that I couldn't trust what I was getting through here. I figured out over a long period of time of how can I get past that story, because that story is very damaging. But there are really two stories that are in the human side. It depends on the person, depends on the situation. There are two stories. And I've looked at probably over 2,500 people. And over the course of looking at over 2,500 people, one of these two stories predominates. It's either you're not good enough or you're not going to make it. It's one or the other. In the human side, if we use our brain, make logical choices, one of those two stories is going to be there to trip you up. If I use my heart to feel my way through, one of those two stories is going to be there to trip us up. We got that from our ancestors. Our ancestors were gifted with this too, and so were their ancestors. Most of these stories are hundreds, if not thousands, maybe 10,000 years old, maybe even further than that. I've got some of them that go back over 1 million years. So every group makes it worse, and they pass it on to the next group until we decide to take charge of this and change it. Yeah. The question is, how do we do it? How can we make those changes? Well, I think we figured it out. And I think since the Garden of Eden, man's been trying to figure this out. And when you think about it, we were spiritual beings, and God gave us a command. We violated the command from our human side, and from that point we paid a price. From the Garden of Eden, we can stop paying the price.
Will you say that last statement one more time about the Garden of Eden?
From the Garden of Eden, we were spiritual beings. We were given a command by God. We avoided that command, and we let our human side take over.
Be the God.
We were gods. We would be God. And look where it got us. Look where it got us. Because if we go to the human side, I don't care how much knowledge you have. I don't care how many degrees that you have. If we go to the human side, I don't care how much you've studied the subject. If you go to the human side, you're going to fail. You're going to go into self-sabotage. You will fail, not just because of one of those two stories, but if you stay long enough in the brain area, it degenerates into anger and frustration. If you stay long enough in the heart area, it degenerates into fear, doubt, uncertainty. So we have one of those two stories, and now we have these other issues that are going on. So sooner or later, when you most need it, you're going to get the wrong answers. I know, because that's what happened to me. And I couldn't figure out, why was my life no better than my father's life, which was no better than his father's life? I couldn't understand, even though I'm a vastly different person than my father was, and certainly much different than my grandfather, I was still making the same mistakes they were. And the reason is because I was still using the same mode of reasoning that they were using. If it didn't work for them, it's not going to work for me, and it won't work for you. So then I realized that I had to make a choice. I had to make a decision. And in that decision, I realized that there is a God, and this God wanted to help me. And this God is there every day. It's not just inside me, it's all around me. Okay. Ida, how did you phrase that? Ida, would you mind standing, please? You phrased that concept about God. We were downstairs.
Yes, we were downstairs, and I was in some therapy, and while I was there, a thought came to me that I know a lot of people have come up to me and say, how is it that you can stay centered? How can you stay in that Christ, in that Christ-centered place where you're manifesting and all is well? And while I was there, what came to me was that many times we think of the Christ that is within, the divine that is within each and every one of us. It doesn't matter what we're going through, what's happened in our lives, good or bad, that good is always within us. But what came to me is, what came to me was a way that maybe we can think of ourselves as being connected and part of that spirit 24/7. And what came to me is that as you're walking, whenever every step that we take, let's see ourselves walking through this mist, or just this space it's God's space. So everywhere that we are, God is, not just within whenever we need Him or we're asking for something or wanting something. He's everywhere. That's why you hear something with every breath. The breath is wonderful because it takes us to that place where we can feel the calmness and the serenity. But think of every breath that you take, the breath coming from the spaces that is all around us. It doesn't matter where you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can you sum up that whole sentence? Because my hearing, I didn't get it.
Okay, let me see if I can sum this up. If we're working from the spirit side, she was saying that everywhere around us, not just inside of us, but everywhere around us, there's God. We recognize that. We're calm, we're relaxed, we're at peace. We know that God will give us the information that we need if we're working from the spirit side.
Right.
If we're working from the human side, there is no God. By definition, it's human. It's not spiritual. So God is still around us, God is still inside of us, and we don't see it. We are gods ourselves. And I'm not a very good God. I'm not very good. So I proved that many times. Okay? So if I can help you get out of this human side and get down to the spirit side, you have access to information that comes just like this. Okay? It doesn't matter whether you're in an audience and you look at someone, their spirit will tell you everything that they need to know, that you need to know to help them. Everything. It's amazing. If you have to make important decisions, it will give you that information very accurately. All the time. Not just sometime. All the time. Okay? You can live with much more confidence and more certainty, and certainly much more at peace. And that's a given just by moving out of this human side and down to the spirit side. Do you understand where we're going? Okay. Now the question has always been, how do we do it? Because realistically speaking, if we think of the energies that we've created in this human side to keep us locked in here, these energies are old belief systems that are not ours. We inherited those. Also, we have habits. All of those are high energy mechanisms. Now, as far as I can tell, there is not a human item, homeopathy, chiropractic, musculoskeletal work, acupuncture, I don't care what it is. They're all good methods, they all help, and they can help move us from here. But they don't have enough energy on their own. If I need to get to the spot where God lies, they can get me maybe close, but they will never get me all the way. So they can help, but they're never going to solve the problem. I found that the only way I could solve this problem was, number one, to admit that I was working from the human side. Okay. It's not for judgment or criticism, it's just to admit I was working from there. The next thing is take ownership of it, and I ask for forgiveness. Okay? I turn it over to God. I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, but when I do, I recognize it pretty quickly and I turn it over. The next thing is, I recognize the habits that I use to get back up to here and leave the spirit side. Maybe I'm not getting enough sleep. Maybe I'm not eating properly. Maybe I'm thinking of things I shouldn't be thinking of around people I shouldn't be around. I don't care what the habits are. But some of the habits that we have are encouraging us to stay in this human side. So I objectively look at those, and then I change them. I change them. Okay? Now, some of you will probably remember a few weeks ago, I was sick. Okay? And I got sick simply because there were so many people that needed help, so many things that we're really trying to do, and trying to get all of this done at the same time, I left my spirit area and I tried to do it all from my heart area. Try to do it all. Okay? I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I don't stay there very long, but I stay there long enough to get weakened, because if I go into the heart area, there's not much strength there, or even in the brain. There's not much strength there. I'm doing it all myself. And in my own words, my own way, it wasn't enough. I got sick. But the moment I realized that I was working from up here, and I realized the story that I was using, that I'm not enough, okay, I'm not good enough. When I realized that I was saying that to myself, even though I'm trying to do all this work and doing it, I got upset with myself. Of course I'm good enough. Of course you're good enough, okay? And the moment I realized that, within less than an hour or two, I started feeling so much better. And even a week before then, I was doing so much work physically to help myself, and it made some improvement, but it wasn't until I gave myself permission to get well and realized what I was doing to criticize myself and judge myself and accept it, that I could begin to get well very quickly. Do you see my point? We will all go there. Okay? All of us are susceptible to this. And then we also have, if you think about this even in a further extent, we have people around us that could be even praying for our demise or for wanting us to fail. We have demons around us, I truly believe that are around us also, waiting for us to come up to the human side so they can attack us. So if you look at the combinations of everything that's out there, it seems daunting. It seems like it's really hard for us to have a high quality of life and living because of all these resistances. But guess what? You can do it. And it's very simple, right? Of course you could, so I got up here in the front. Good. And the way we're going to do it is, we're going to make a decision. If we're going to make a decision tonight that I'm going to leave this area, I don't care where you are right now, we're going to leave the brain or heart area, and we're going to give yourself permission to move down to the spirit area. Like if I work with people and I'll make up a statement about the person, and then I'll make up options, like different ideas as to what could be happening. And then I'll scan those and find out what is the truth for that.
Muscle testing?
No, no. There's nothing wrong with muscle testing, but I want to get you far beyond muscle testing, okay? I want you to get down to an area, in the spirit area, where you know, just by looking at things, you know. I started with muscle testing 40 years ago. It's a great idea, it works. However, you've got to be super careful with it. Super careful, okay? It does work, but again, you've got to be careful, like with any of this stuff. Okay? So, in doing all this work, and then testing, and testing, and testing, and testing, out of all the smoke, if you will, I believe life is simple. I believe it's very simple. I think we've complicated things from our human side. And we made it this way so we couldn't see the truth. Okay? The more complex a situation is, the less likely we're going to see the truth. And the less likely it's going to be correct. Okay? That's basic physics. Okay? So my goal as a scientist, but also as a doctor and also as someone trying to understand how God works, is to try to make things simple. So I test these ideas and I make predictions. I make predictions about what happens in the present, I go into the future. Okay? We know what's going to happen in the future. We do. It's already known. Okay? It's already known. All we need to do is to tap into the energetic source, God, if you will, and let God guide us and tell us what's going to happen. Okay? So I make predictions and I base it upon what I'm evaluating and I see how accurate I am. I have books upon books upon books upon books of tests. Okay? Now, I know what people say out there. I almost never agree with people out there. Almost never. Okay? So, from what I've seen, again, keeping it simple. Okay? Not good enough, never going to make it. It's that simple, from what I've seen. And all of us fall into one of those two. Okay? That story about I'm not good enough came through my father, came through his father. Okay? And they lived that every day of their lives. Now, I wish I knew more about my ancestors prior to that. But have you ever met people that seem to create the same problems that their ancestors had? Like children who have the same issues that their parents had? Okay? And they can't seem to change? Yeah. It's a common story. That's
Is
going
it
on.
primarily from the male side?
No, it can be. I wish it were. I wish I could. No, it can come from either side. It can come from the mother's side, the father's side. In some cases, in a few cases I found where it could come from both sides. In a few cases. But I want to get you to the point where you can recognize this for yourself and you can understand it for yourself. Okay. Now, as to where the philosophy comes from, all I want to know is truth. I just want to know truth. I don't care what the philosophy is. I don't care if it's Eastern or Western. I want to know the truth. And so far, every dream I've had has been very significant. It's been right on target. So that's the best I can do. And what I would ask you to do is try this, learn this, see how well it works, and if it doesn't work for you, I'll be very happy. Pamela, what did you say before? What was that statement that you gave us before?
From Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Yes, would you please give us that statement, please? Because that's perfect.
Hi, I'm Tamara. I used to listen to Dr. Wayne Dyer. They still show some of his previously taped seminars on the PBS channel. But one of the things he said that resonated with me and helped a lot was before his talk, he would ask the audience for this hour, this 2 hours, for the time of this talk, please suspend your disbelief and just listen, see where it takes you.
And what else was added to that?
How did it help me?
No. What else? There was something else added. And even if it doesn't work for you, how did you finish that?
Oh, well, he didn't say that. I heard that in 12-step groups. But he in 12-step groups, they say, please come give us a try if you have any addiction from the multitude of 12-step groups today. And, you know, I heard this somewhere, it's not from them, but give us at least 6 weeks, get with a sponsor, get with a mentor, try the 12 steps. If they don't work, we'll gladly refund your misery.
Thank you, thank you. I'm tired of misery. I'm tired of the suffering. I'm very tired of that. These techniques have helped me. They've helped a lot of other people. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. And see if they'll help you. Okay. So let's say that we are going to leave the human side. We make a decision and we're going to do it. When I realized how I was self-sabotaging myself, that I was saying to myself, I'm not good enough, I stopped that. I changed the habits I was using by getting more sleep, not seeing as many people, doing what I need to do for myself. I changed the habits into something that was good, that would give me a chance to get back to spirit. And then I went back into doing my meditation and doing the methods that we're going to train you to do tonight. So what I realized was that for me to leave my human side, I went into a state of self-hypnosis. Okay? Then I would go into a state of self-hypnosis that would take me all the way down to the spirit side and allow me to go there and stay there so that I could be in contact with this spirit. Okay? Now that's where Chris comes in. Okay? Met him last year. He's been a godsend ever since. He's helped tremendously in the classes. He's very gifted at hypnosis, and he's going to help guide us through this so we can easily move from this area, and especially from the brain area, down, so we can start to go into this state and contact this divine presence.
Well, it relaxes you so that your intellect is out of the way and you can receive.
Very good. Very good. I'm impressed with this. This is great. But I wanted to go over the definition of hypnosis just for everybody. It's a natural yet altered state of mind where your critical factor is relaxed and bypassed so that you staying with me. So it's a natural yet altered state of mind where your critical factor is bypassed. And problems are solved. And your goals are achieved.
And for us also to be aware that if we are hypnotized, we can also, by into the people on earth that are not positive, we're more programmable also. But we can allow spirit to come through if that's the intention.
We will.
Right?
We will, as we get rid of those negative memories and negative self-talk. It also is where selective thinking is maintained as well. So that while we're in this state, we can use selective thinking for positive imagery and positive suggestions to change those negative memories that we have in our subconscious. So let's open that up. The critical factor is kind of your chatterbox in your mind, where you said relax that to bypass that analytical thinking and the critical thinking of where we're analyzing our past events or our past memories. So that's the ticket there, is it's always analyzing the past. So if we can't change the past, what we can change is the future, change our memories of the past and reframe those to something that's positive. So it kind of works like this. I don't know if y'all can see over here, but we have an event. And that event drives your behavior. Kind of an awkward angle to drive. So those events driving your behavior then drives your emotions. Those emotions then in turn, I'm sorry, this is your belief system, I'm sorry. This drives your behavior. Sorry, got a little ahead of myself. And that in turn gives you your results. So speaking of past memory, if you had an event where you held a negative belief, let's make this right, a negative belief, what would you in turn think your emotions would be? Negative. It's pretty simple, right? Negative. And you'd have negative behavior resulting in negative results. So if we can get in there and change that to a positive belief about yourself, you won't have those restrictions Dr. Berman's talking about. You won't have negative emotions. You'll have positive emotions about yourself. You'll have positive behaviors resulting in positive results. Meeting your goals and answering your problems. Does that make sense? Yes?
I would probably add that if you're in that loop, you're getting those negative results, it makes your belief stronger, and that just creates more negative events.
Very,
Right, so it just keeps happening.
very true. Very true. So it just compounds on itself.
Yeah, unless you stop it.
Unless you stop it. That's correct. And that's what we're here is to try to help stop those negative thoughts and ideas, and that's what we're going to work on through the next classes and things. I've also talked about, I think it was last year, about a lady, Angela, that had a terrible accident, and the neuroscientist the neurosurgeon at the time, the top in the country, gave her no hope to live, said 3 or 4 days, send her home to be with her family to be comfortable as possible. Well, her family didn't give up hope. They found another neurosurgeon that actually works with hypnosis. And I can get into more of the details of that because I actually sat down with her and had dinner and got all the details of her surgeries or the injuries and that sort of thing. And, Dr. Dulce is a neurosurgeon that worked with her. And I worked with his script, the methods that he used, healing Angela with her injuries to heal herself. He allowed me to use those scripts to tailor them for this class. So if y'all don't have any questions, I'd really like to get to that. It's an amazing script that I've again tailored for this class to work with us to get past our negative thoughts, so that we can be healthier and have healthier thoughts and create a healthy physical, mental, and emotional being that we are, so that we can get to that spirit spot that Gary's talking about, so that we can make these predictions and really feel confident about it. Does anyone have any questions of the material I went over or comments? If it's okay with Gary, I would really like, Danny, if you're okay with it, to...
You're talking about questions on hypnosis.
Correct. Before we move on to our guided meditation, our guided hypnosis with Dr. Dulce's methods, it's really beautiful. Normally we record that. I'm not going to do that tonight just because there's, costs, other things that go on with that. I've already pre-recorded it. So if you haven't checked with Sherry, if you've got your email address on there, I can forward that, a clean copy of tonight's meditation so that you can start using it tonight. I recommend a couple times a day if you can, morning and the evenings. And then next week we'll work on working on individual goals and maybe using some personalized suggestions with this recording as well.
So next week, are you the only speaker or just going to be a part of it?
I'm going to be a part of it. We're all kind of part of the group.
Okay,
So
but Dr. Berman will be.
Dr. Berman
also.
leads it.
Okay.
It's his dojo, so to speak. So no questions? Danny, you okay with leading some breathing exercise to kind of get everyone